Hello and welcome back. Before we get to part 2, Real Talk, please allow us to fulfill our capitalistic duty and plug our Patreon, the Contrarian Supplements.
That's right. For a small fee, you too can help the Contrarians rage on.
We have tiers ranging from just $1 to $10. It all depends on how much content you can handle.
Starting at $1, it's the Travoltis tier, which gets you access to new bonus episodes focusing on a new movie every month, as well as access to the patron chat. Join other patrons in making fun of our opinions.
Moving up to $3 is the Winoni's tier, which unlocks access to our pre-recording notes, our video reviews, and our spin-off show, Contrarians After Hours.
That's a more laid-back space where we talk about other things we've been watching, reading, playing, thinking about. Sometimes it's related to the movies being covered on the main feed, but it usually isn't.
If you want to be part of those patrons who help us shape the show by telling us which movies to tackle, that's when you sign up for the $5 tier, the Embries, and the $10, the Gads.
Finally, all supplement subscribers, regardless of the tier, get access to our archive of special patron projects. Head over to patreon.com/contrarianprime now to join.
Be sure to listen through the end of the episode to find out what's coming up to the Contrarian Supplements this month. Now, it's time for some Real Talk.
What would you do?
About what?
Well, everything, my situation.
Well, I prioritise. I mean, if it was me, he'd be dead already.
Yeah, but if you was me,
That's a big leap for me, Colin.
please, try.
I'd toss a coin. Heads, I'd skin him alive, find her, do the same.
And if it was tails?
That's the hard part, Colin.
No, I couldn't do that. I mean, how can I do that? I mean, let him go. No, I don't think I can do that.
Let's hope his head's then.
All right, Julio. So were those people real? Were they not?
Maybe both. I think where I ultimately landed was that they exist in his life, but they're not there in the movie. You know what I mean? These are his friends, but he's just imagining conversations with them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they criminals? Or are they just playing criminals in his mind? I don't know about that. What do you think?
I don't know. The way he walked out at the end there, all like well-kempt and put back together, I was just like, did any of that actually happen? But yeah, I could believe, I don't know, I could accept anything. I didn't care enough about the movie, like to want to, like, and not to say I didn't like it. I didn't care enough to like want to very emphatically take a stand one way or the other. So I'm open to any and all interpretations of it.
I wonder if that kind of statement feels like the ultimate failure to the writers and director. Like, really?
I mean, I guess it could.
Like, you're supposed to care. You're supposed to take a stance. I think I might be on the same boat, Alex, but I guess we'll find out as we really explore our feelings, our true feelings, and those of some critics.
Yeah, I spent most of the movie kind of mortified by how much Ray Winstone in this movie looks like what Conor McGregor is going to look like in about 2 years, just with his rampant alcohol and cocaine problems, and alleged, of course, but like the greasy, slicked back hair and just kind of the dumbfounded look most of the movie. I was like, oh man, the 100-yard stare, just staring through everything. I was like, man, that's where Conor's heading right now. Of course, nowhere near the actor, but just as far as a visage, it's not too far off.
Roadhouse 2, man. Does he die at the end of the new one? I don't remember.
No, remember, because he shows up and he's like, where is everybody? Yes. Where the fuck is everybody? Yeah. Please, God, no. Anyway, 40, straight up 40% of Rotten Tomatoes, correct?
Yeah, not even 44. It would be nice if it was 44%.
That would be beautiful. Did Jamie provide us with thoughts?
No, he literally just said that the only thing he referenced was that Filmbusters episode, which reminded me that they'd done it. And I think I can see, if I may, Jamie, cast an assumption. I think that maybe he heard 3 British guys talk about a British movie, and he wondered if 2 American guys would have a similar conversation or a very different one. So, I mean, here we are, ready to deliver.
I don't deny there's aspects of this that are culturally significant, and there's very, like, I would almost guarantee there's moments of dialogue or words or references that go clear over our heads. But, I mean, I think we got the same movie. So that was Jamie, his rationale behind it. Now the critics. Who liked this, Julio?
Alex, I have a whopper of a quote on the fresh side just to start us off. You're not ready for this, my friend. Obviously, this is from years ago when this movie first came out. John Golson from Cinematical.
Let's go.
Sadly, I couldn't, like, the link to the full review was broken, but the quote remains. And it just says, a deliberately stagey rumination on the price of revenge. Fresh tomatoes. So John Golson, who we reference, I think, at least once a month on the show, he liked it. He liked 44-inch chest. And that means that next time I run into John Golson, I'm going to bring it up. I'm like, hey, man.
As you should.
Yeah. Do you happen to have a hard copy of the review? Because it's no longer online. Next, Joe Williams from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch says, with violence on the menu, it's a guilty pleasure to watch these stage-trained hambones unleash a rapid-fire roundelay of righteous indignation. I disagree with a lot of stuff on this quote.
That quote is very proud of itself.
Yes. I didn't think it was a guilty pleasure. Did you watch it as a guilty pleasure where you were like, fuck yeah? Like, I shouldn't, but fuck yeah.
No.
Yeah, me either. Stage-trained hambos. It was a little pejorative.
I mean, where do I start?
And then righteous indignation. I mean, I guess righteousness is in the eye of the beholder, but from my side of this situation, there was nothing righteous about what these guys were doing. But so, we'll talk about that. Next, Beth Accomando from kbps.org says, every now and then there are perfect moments in cinema. The opening of 44-inch chest is one of them.
What's the opening moment?
I guess it's just that revelation.
The trashed house.
Yeah, the reveal of Ray Winstone just lying on his back. Like, you see the dog first. I mean, I'm assuming that Beth is talking about the entire opening sequence, which, I mean, I guess it's got nothing on the opening of Up, which is always my go-to whenever somebody praises an opening. I
mentioned Watchmen in the first half. Back to it, baby. The opening credits of Watchmen.
There you go. Perfect moments in cinema. I think that the opening of Watchmen is a lot closer to that than the
I would agree.
44-inch chest.
Oh, the times they are a-changing.
And then we're going to close with Ann Hornaday from the Washington Post, who says, it's sometimes difficult to discern whether the filmmakers are dissecting male bonding, ritualized aggression, and sexual anxiety, or celebrating it. Do you think this movie comes close to celebrating it, Alex? I know I was kind of halfway joking about it on Contrarian's Corner, but
I don't think this movie comes close to celebrating any of the characters' behaviors. It's just like an insight into this guy who's conceivably, or I guess apparently, lost it.
That's making a movie about it is enough to maybe for some people to consider it a celebration. Like, I don't think so, but I could also see somebody telling me, okay, but then why are you even making it?
I don't know. I don't agree with that. But again, a movie like this just welcomes people to have interpretations of all varieties.
Well, putting aside, at least temporarily, whether Old Man Peanut and the others are imaginary or not, what's your interpretation of the movie? But it's not really that. I think that my main thing is just the why of it all. I think that, I mean, obviously, if you look at it as a writer or 2 writers, right, had this idea, they just needed to get this out of their chests. And then some dude,
so to speak,
yes, out of their 44-inch chest. and then a director was like, all right, I can do something with this. Let's send it to some British actors that would like to showboat a little bit for 90 minutes. And then you get the movie made. And it's so maybe as a vehicle for catharsis, I can maybe see, understand its existence. I don't want to sound too harsh because, obviously I watched the movie and I enjoyed some things about it. But when it got to the end, I was like, I don't know that this said anything to me about anything. Did you walk away from it like with any sort of insight into the world?
No.
Or even the lives of these men? Like, I don't even know that I understand the Ray Winstone character a whole lot better than I did at the very beginning. I mean, basically from the moment that it was revealed that he beat his wife, I was like, oh, it's this kind of person. And that didn't really change until the end of the movie.
I mean, that's why I don't go to the stage very often, is because most of the time things like this, while I can appreciate them from a performance perspective, don't ignite a fire in me the way, some books do, or, obviously a lot of film. Even still, it's not even the thing of like they're shitty people, so there's nothing for me to cling on to. Well documented, some of my favorite movies involve really shitty people leading the way. Like Connie's a dirtbag, man. What's that?
Good time.
Yeah. And now I'm just going to say Connie. I'm just going to refer to him by his character's name. It's very dialogue heavy. It's impressive from a performance perspective, especially for how long some of the scenes go on and how cohesive the performances are. But I can't tell you with any level of agreement or certainty that Colin learned anything in this journey, and that it wasn't just like a mental breakdown that he had that we just kind of watched in real time after he found out that his wife was leaving him. Like I said, I'm pretty sure part of the story is that he beat her up, which is shit, and that, he's obviously dealing with the ramifications of that emotionally. And yeah, he might have gone and found this guy and kidnapped him in like the throes of passion, and he's been sobering up since. I mean, he downs that bottle of brandy they give him, and brandy is not an alcohol that is easily chuggable. So, God bless him. Yeah, I'm with you. Of just, I didn't see much. I'm fucking F. Murray Abraham and Llewyn Davis. I don't see a lot of money here.
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to Ray Winstone? Are you talking to?
No, Ray Winstone's great. We all need more Ray Winstone. I mean, it's okay. The reported box office for this movie was $250,000. That is exactly in line. Like, who is this movie for? Who do you think is going to go see it? Yeah, it's well acted, and I'm not going to run away from it if I ever encounter this movie again in my life. It's just kind of, it is what it is. And again, just to circle back to something I mentioned a few times in the first half, it was originally written for the stage in 1996 by Lewis Mellis and David Sinto, who would go on to write Sexy Beast in 2000, which is a collab they did with Winstone. And then it even went to stage. From August 12th to the 24th of 2019, 44-inch Chess was performed on stage for the first time as part of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe at the Perth Theatre, aka the Space on North Bridge. The play, an abridged edit of the original 1996 script, was produced by Out of Bounds Theatre.
Did they get Ray Winstone to get on stage, but to play a different character?
That I don't know.
He plays the guy with the dog, just a cameo.
Yeah. Here's a Peter Bradshaw. His quote I thought was pretty in line with what we're talking about here. The film talks the talk. In fact, it talks and talks and talks the talk, but the walk isn't happening.
Okay. I mean, that is a valid criticism, because I did feel that we were going in circles, and sometimes I didn't mind and sometimes I minded. When the dialogue is at its most entertaining, I didn't mind that we were still talking about what we're doing with this guy, right? It's really 90 minutes mostly of them talking about the fate of this waiter that they've kidnapped. And so, man, you better bring it. And at times the movie brings it, like the writers bring it. Obviously the performers are there all the time, but when they're not bringing it, when the script is not there, then you just kind of I found myself wanting them to move on to the next thing. What's going to happen next? And there's not a whole lot of that. So I'm not saying that the action is not or the lack of action is not a problem, because yeah, that's definitely something that happens. But at the same time, I mean, we're talking about Glenn Ross, and, because there were some critics that were referencing Mammoth, and that movie's also just so much dialogue. There's a heist, there's a little bit of robbery, but for the most part, it's just dialogue, and that movie never slows down. So
correct.
I mean, I think it's better written, but also I think that,
and there's also like things that are consistently revealed throughout that movie, and here I feel like within the first act we have we know everything that we're gonna know for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, there are digressions that really give you nothing other than, oh well, here's a splash of color, and I guess maybe they're meant to be, tools so that you don't feel it's not monotonous, like, just so it's not just this violent, grimy thing. We're gonna have a story about Ian McShane winning a lot of money at the the casino.
£40,600 is what I won.
Fucking hell. Fuck me. Hell.
Well.
So maybe there's a purpose for that, but I think that there is something about the characters themselves and what they stand for. And here's where I think that maybe it's not just the movie, it's just the audience that it's made for, and me not being exactly part of that audience. Like when the movie was over, and actually I've watched it twice, Alex, because I watched it a few days ago, just clean, just to take it in, and and then I watched it again today to take notes. So I've seen it twice now, and both times when it was over, my main question was like, was I supposed to feel bad for him, for Ray Winstone, at any point? Because I never did. Even before the reveal that he had beaten his wife, I was like, and it could be me. Maybe I just don't have a whole lot of patience for a grown man. Like, how old is he supposed to be here? 40? 44? Like his chest?
Ray Winstone? Yeah, at least.
In his 40s. And so I'm like, dude, it's like,
and also, like, he never cheated on his wife, man. Ray Winstone, in that capacity, that dude, he's going to the bar, he's getting drunk, and he's a charming motherfucker, I bet, too.
Yeah, well, the way that he talks about their marriage is so possessive. Even when he's saying nice things, he gets his big speech about what love is and whatever. It's still, it feels like there's a lot of entitlement coming through there. And so he always rubs me the wrong way in this movie. I mean, every time that he was saying something, I was like, this is just not somebody that I think, I just don't feel bad for him, And so there could be audiences that feel bad for him. And that's not to say that those people think that he is a good person, right? But maybe it's a little easier for them to connect to his plight because, like we said in Controller's Corner, there is a universality to being cheated on and to have to deal with those feelings. And some people might lean towards violence more than others. That doesn't make them a bad person. It's like, if they don't act on it, it's just like the honesty of acknowledging that, hey, I would like to beat up the guy that my wife left me for. Well, that is a juicy story. That's something that you can exploit, but I have to kind of care. If I don't care, then it's very clinical. And I think that was my problem here, that I just didn't feel bad for him and his friends, whether they're imaginary or not. They're just kind of cheerleaders for his bad behavior. So now that we're in real talk, I will push a little against the idea that they're, angels and demons. I think that they're all, like, it's Wilkinson the closest to a good influence, and even him, he still wants him to beat the guy, to kill the guy, to kill the waiter. Wouldn't this be a much more interesting movie if there was at least one person in that group that was arguing against violence and actively saying, hey, don't do this? I
mean, like, you could read it as they're the voices in his head, and they're all telling him to do bad, and then he's able to silence them and get them all out, and that's when he's able to think clearly. But then there's, like, I guess I don't know what the fuck we're supposed to take away from the part where they're all just out in the stairwell together, and that long diversion into Samson and Delilah.
Yeah.
I guess it is the inside out thing you were talking about. They just kind of confer. They gather around the water cooler while their subject is getting things all figured out.
Wilkinson gets another story there that this just like goes nowhere. Maybe the symbolism is going over my head, but we cut back to him mid-story, and he's talking about a guy that had a huge head, but was very charming. And I think the implication is that he committed suicide over a cat.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, he's a good actor, and I think in a different movie, maybe this would be kind of funny. But by the time it gets there, it's just, I don't know. I just felt like, what are we doing here? Can we just move? Because I think it's right after Ray Winstone has decided that he's not going to kill the waiter, and then we cut back to them, and Wilkinson's telling that story, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to find this funnier than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Samson and Delilah, I mean, that is just, the whole point is that old man Peanut is saying, women. Yeah, women, can you believe that? Women, am I right?
Fucking women.
Yeah. It's like Delilah. It's because of Delilah that Samson lost his powers and died. I think if I were to meet the people that made this movie, we would have an interesting conversation about what they were trying to do with it, because I am not sure. Like I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to feel bad for Ray Winstone, and the movie is like an empathy test, right? It's trying to show me like violent wife beaters have feelings too, and if you give them enough time, they'll see the error of their ways. I don't know. How do you think this movie plays, Alex, if Ray Winstone is actually just a regular guy? We never see him like beat his wife or anything. He's just some dude that came home one day with his flowers, and his wife said, "No, I met somebody else. I'm gonna go." And then she leaves. And then he goes and kidnaps the guy that she's cheating with. But that's more of a, it's not that he's a criminal doing
like a falling down situation where like a dude just snaps one day.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that too much of a trope, or does it make it a more interesting movie?
It could. I mean, there's interesting things here too. I would say the disadvantage of being an American watching this, or being me personally, is when I see these players involved and I see the poster, and I kind of see how this movie's stylized to begin with kind of like the snappy dialogue and the musical choices, some like, really great old tunes and whatnot. I'm immediately going to be like, all right, here we go. Snatch ruined my brain that way, man. It's just what I expect now. And so that could be a detriment of me watching this, was I was expecting a little more punch. And then it took me probably, 10, 15 minutes to figure out, okay, no, that's what this is. So then I have to readjust. And I think that's why my focus was in and out on this one. I watched it in one sitting, wasn't on my phone at all the whole time. So it's not like it didn't have me. It just, my level of interest and expectations kind of wavered throughout. As far as your question about, changing it up, it obviously makes it more interesting that this guy's, conceivably tied to organized crime in some way. Because then if it's just a normal dude, who are his friends, then it just becomes very bad things.
Okay, well, something in the middle, right? He can still be a criminal, but he's just not a wife beater.
Yeah.
So then it's a little easier to maybe feel bad for him. I don't have a problem feeling bad for criminals. Good fellas, feel bad for Ray Liotta up to a point.
Okay.
But this guy, it was just too much. And it's not that I need to feel bad for a character for the movie to work, but in this specific movie, I think it would help a lot.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And I was just like you, I just watched it in one sitting, and I was following the story. And like I said, even when there were lulls, I was just anticipating the next big monologue, because, those could be great. But then when it got to the end, even before it got to the end, I mean, at some point in the third act, I realized that there was only so much the movie was going to give me. Like, we'd hit the ceiling as far as how much insight I was going to get. When Ray Winstone is crying and just cuddling against that guy's lap, and the guy pets him, and whether that's real or imaginary, I was like, all right, we're getting to the end of the movie, and this is what the movie's saying. And it's like, I don't really care.
I'm really upset about this. Free to go, mate.
Like I said, I listened to our friends from Filmbusters talk about the movie before, not having watched it. And I remember them being positive on it. And honestly, the only thing I remember with clarity was that they were using the characters to have a breakdown of how they were made up of. So like they would say, okay, so you are 5% John Hurt, 20% Ray Winstone, 40% Stephen Delane, and so on. And I remember thinking that was funny, and I was like, this would make a lot more sense if I'd watched the movie. And now that I watched the movie, I don't know that it's as simple as saying these are the parts of his psyche that make him all up, unless he's a really rotten person, which I guess he could be. For the purposes of fiction, I think, again, it would be more interesting if you had at least one dissenting voice, just because that would make it more interesting. You would have actual arguments between these people, other than, when they argue in this movie, it's just about petty things, but not about, the morality of it. Like, everybody seems to be in agreement that, it's okay if we kill this guy. And it's just a matter of whether Ray Winstone is going to do it. And it's not that Winston may not do it because he thinks it's a bad thing. It's just that he may not do it because then he'll never get back to his wife.
God forbid I ever praise Fight Club on this platform, but that's, if I'm trying to make this declaration that all these are just voices in his head, then you need some dissenting or argumentative tone to it. And that's kind of the thing in that movie, Fight Club, that is, Tyler's consistently providing Ed Norton with options. Like, you can do this and this will happen, or you can do this and this will happen. And here it's just, especially John Hurt, he just wants blood, man. He wants a bloodletting. There's not enough, for me, there's not enough disagreement or not enough conflicting voices, I guess.
Speaking of John Hurt,
because in the end, Ray Winstone makes the right decision, for that moment. He lets the guy go and whatnot, but he has to come to that conclusion completely on his own, which I guess could be part of the story too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what about John Hurt?
I was going to say, speaking of John Hurt, something that occurred to me as I was watching it, he's so over the top in a very masculine, old-fashioned way. Like, everything he says is just so fucking prehistoric in a way, right? And already in 2025, it feels very out of touch, which is the point. I mean, I think that the movie's telling you that if you're saying that, he's not a real person, obviously he is just, then he's meant to represent the part of Ray Winstone's psyche that is just very old fashioned and, has, it's a relic. So already in 2025, it feels like that. And I wonder how much longer until you see a character like that and you're like, this is insane. This is completely unbelievable. I can't buy it as a person. Just the way that society hopefully moves forward, this type of character is left behind, further and further behind. And there may come a point where you just can't write that type of character without completely losing your audience as far as, it being a realistic depiction of a person.
Yeah.
So here it's already kind of like walking the line, and he's an old man, so that's how you can get away with it too. But Ian McShane is playing it pretty broad too, but the only one that feels like a caricature is John Hurt. I mean, it didn't bother me, but it made me think about that. Did you like the performance, or did you think that maybe he could have toned it down a little bit?
I just took it to be that's that character, that he's supposed to be that fucking bitter, over the top, mean, loud, so I'll say this: it didn't at any point in time feel like it was out of tone with anything else in the movie. I guess that's how I would say it.
Do you think there's anything to the fact that he's constantly not even teasing, but just being very vocal about his homophobia. But then at the end of the movie, he's like, sure, let's just go hang out let's go have breakfast at the gay bar.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Well, that's typically how the loudest detractors are about those types of things, you know?
And I was like, is he closeted? Is he actually gay? Or is this just an old man that is saying one thing but doing the other, right? Is he really not homophobic? Is he just putting up a front because he's a gangster? I mean, I don't know. And it's not his story, so I really don't know if this is, if there are voices in Ray Winstone's head, then what does it matter?
Couldn't tell you, man. Maybe it's his own battle with conflicting feelings of homosexuality. Maybe he's never confronted that head on, and so that's what John Hurt represents in his brain.
Well, then, Alex, why didn't we talk more about that in the movie? Because that sounds very interesting.
That's the closest thing to a yin and yang, that angel devil thing, is he has Ian McShane and then John Hurt, the two sides of it.
And then you could have John Hurt make a special appearance.
My God. John Hurt is the boyfriend. He gets unmasked and yeah.
There you go.
I mean, it kills the whole idea of this like fucking Casanova when Kevin McAllister's dad is there, but
No, it's because they kidnapped the wrong guy. Yes,
even better. Then we had that. See, that is some Guy Ritchie in comedy right there.
Yep. He's pretty sure the Baskins is behind it. Just doesn't know how, but he'll figure it out. That's an interesting point. There was another moment in the movie where I was like, wait a second, are we going to go with a bigger reveal that's going to turn everything on its head? And that's when he's in the middle of that batshit crazy dream sequence where, like I said, they're recreating the porno. Like at first, Ian McShane is the driver, and Ray Winstone's wife is watching him from the house, like through the window. She's licking the glass, and then McShane says, well, I'm gay, so I can't be playing the driver. So then Stephen Delane replaces him, and there's some flirtation, and then Wilkinson, they cut back to the room, and Wilkinson says, like, does anybody need a gardener? Because I could come in, and then they say the gardener fucks the maid. I mean, they're talking about all this shit. And then Ray Winstone goes, who am I? Where am I? And I think it's McShane that says, like, oh, you're the guy in the basement with the bag on his head. And then it cuts to Ray Winstone hanging, from his arms are tied up and he has a bag on his head, and somebody pulls the bag off his head and it's him. And for a moment I thought, wait, is this, have we been looking at it the wrong way the entire time? And this is, Ray Winstone was the guy that some woman was cheating with, and he's being captured and kidnapped by the husband. And this is all this some sort of fever dream that he's having while he's being tortured by an angry husband. And I was getting ready for the big Shyamalan twist at that point. It was like, well, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's very interesting. But they didn't go anywhere. Then we pulled back from it. And it's like, oh no, he's kind of tripping about this. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, because that would definitely change the way I feel about the character if the entire gangster wife beating persona is just something that he's putting on his head to deal with a different situation, right? It's like, oh, he never punched anybody. All he did was, I guess, have sex with somebody else's wife, and now he's in trouble for it. And the way that he's getting through it is by imagining a completely different reality where he is the husband that has been wronged. I don't know. It's not a good sign when you're starting to create completely different news stories based on the movie that you were supposed to be watching.
What about me?
Well, Cole, since you ask, you're the thing in the basement with the hood on.
That's, the classic Homer Simpson line. When I get bored with movies, sometimes I just make up my own,
Was he watching 44-inch chest when he said that?
But on the positive side, it's not long enough to be offensive. It's just kind of, when this is over, it's just kind of there. And again, it's well acted. Specifically, Ray Winstone, these long monologues he's given in this, he delivers them very well.
Yes, they're well written and they're well delivered. I guess I just wish that there was a more interesting character delivering them. So it's not on the performance, it's just on the entire concept of the movie. He can wax poetic about love and commitment and marriage, and there's only so much that's going to come through to me because I guess I just have that barrier there. I was like, I don't care, you're kind of a piece of shit. So there's only so much I can get from all these alleged emotions that you're feeling, but he's good. I don't know that I would say if there's a Mount Rushmore of his movies and his performances. I don't know that I put it on it.
No,
I
mean, because he's a very good actor.
Yeah, and I've always now, all kidding aside, real talk. Yeah, The Departed is just kind of a seminal Ray Winstone performance for me, and he's not showing off anywhere near as much as he does here. He's kind of the silent partner to Nicholson, but he's there, he's solid, and he just tells you everything you need to know.
I did say at one point in this, I don't think I had the line completely right, but some guy, he tells Leo in The Departed, there's guys you can't hit, and I'm telling you, that's a guy you can't hit.
Yes.
Now, what are you drinking?
What are you on your period?
So good.
Yeah. He's great. He's good. I like them all. I mean, I want to keep going back to the fact that there's a homophobia subplot in here, because there really isn't. It's more like a thing. But I was about to say the Ian McShane character being not just gay, but somewhat flamboyant in his gayness, that also feels like it should mean more.
Yep.
Because this is not a case of like, well, why couldn't he be gay? Representation, all that. I was like, yeah, but this is not like a real, if it's a voice in his head, the fact that there's a gay man that is very open about his sexuality and is kind of playfully confrontational about it, that has to mean something. And I don't think that the movie lands on anything. So maybe that keeps me from truly enjoying the Ian McShane performance, because I want to figure out what it means, and the movie doesn't give me enough, but he's good. I just, again, maybe that's why I like Stephen Delane in the movie like the best, because he seems pretty straightforward. He's just like the guy, and there's nothing that he does or say in the movie where I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Even Wilkinson, he seems a little too like domesticated, I guess. And I'm like, what is the point of him being just so like mild-mannered, cooking with his mom? And they're good performances. I just think that there's something off in the way that everything is put together that keeps me from really praising them more. I guess that's the thing. I've seen everybody in this movie be great in other things. And so this, even though they're like really good actors working together, it doesn't hit me as hard as I guess it should, based on everything I know from their past work.
Did you enjoy it though?
Yes. It seems so shaky as an affirmative, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it once. I don't know that I'll watch it again. It's kind of tricky, Alex, because the things I enjoy in this movie are also things that are kind of not mainstream. So I can't even honestly recommend that big sequence that I like where they're all like being filthy for like 5 minutes or so. Like, I can't really recommend it to most people I know because they would be just put off by it. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'm underestimating the open-mindedness when it comes to filthy dialogue that most of my friends have. That's the only thing that I would rewatch.
So I guess I don't know if I caught it. Were you bored at any point?
No, I got restless a couple times where I felt that the movie needed to move, but yeah, that's what you always say. It's 90 minutes, so really it doesn't give you time to get bored.
Fair enough.
Like, to really get bored. I think I figured out the movie pretty quickly, and I kept hoping that there was something else beyond the monologues, that it would get somewhere more insightful than it did. And so that's really the disappointment. I think that if this movie had like a much better ending, then I would feel that I would have very few complaints. But because it doesn't stick the landing at all, then all its flaws are just more apparent and they bother me more. How about you? I mean, I guess, let's just do it. It's time to do it, Alex. Let's give it a rating.
I do want to say before we close here that the way Ray Winstone was dressing in this made me really start thinking I really need to get a good suit and a good jacket top and some good button ups. But anyway, what's 3 stars? Like a C plus, maybe. I think this is kind of a 3-star affair. Like I said, I'm not going to run away from this movie if it ever comes across my periphery again. At the same time, this isn't going to get added into the physical media collection, and it's not something that I'll tell. There's many, many, many movies that I'm going to tell people they need to watch before they watch this. But I look forward to the day I run across someone else who's seen this and we can have a conversation about it. Because I think, Jesus, I probably found this conversation more interesting than I found the movie. But still, the acting's good. It's shot well. I'm comfortable with a 3-star review.
What if a theater company here in Austin, Texas, puts on a weekend performance of 44-inch chest? Would you go see it?
I think we'd have to go see it, right?
Yes, yeah, because we've done it on the show. I guess there's no way of... We can't just... Instead, just tell people, hey, by the way, somebody put it on stage in Austin, and we decided no. Yeah, you're right. That's a dumb question. A better question, Alex, is, do you think this movie works if you gender swap it?
Yeah, I think you could do the same thing.
Man, it just sounds a lot more interesting, though.
It does. It does. I mean, there's some things you'd have to adjust, but yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. Absolutely. You
get like 5 seasoned veteran actresses in the part where you would reveal that the Ray Winstone, the female Ray Winstone, beat up her husband. That would be
Micah Monroe, baby.
No.
No, Micah Monroe would be the girl under the bag.
Yes.
She would be the kidnappee.
Yeah, no. Ronda Rousey as Ray Winstone.
Let's move on.
All right, my score is 2 stars, I guess. I give 5 stars to that sequence that I liked, that I have transcribed in over 2 pages. But yeah, 2-star movie because I think it kind of drops the ball. It doesn't drop the ball, Alex, because I think that this movie gets where it wants to be. It took the ball, I took it and put it where it wanted it to be at the end. It's just that where it puts the ball is nowhere that interests me. Again, like I said, maybe I just have a very limited amount of patience and empathy for this type of character. And if there's no story, or there's very little story, then all I have left is the character. And there wasn't a whole lot here that I could connect with.
And all because, of a woman.
2 stars. I know the Filmbusters were pretty generous with their scores. Jamie, I don't know, so I'm curious. I looked it up and he hadn't logged it on Letterboxd, so I guess we will find out in the future how Jamie feels about it. It'll be really fun if he hasn't even seen it. He just wanted to.
He was just curious.
Yeah, he was like, I listened to this episode of Filmbusters and they were pretty positive. I wonder if these 2 Americans, one of which is Peruvian also, like if they would react differently. Man, give me the Peruvian version of 44-inch chest. It wouldn't be 44 inches. It would be like whatever centimeters.
There you go.
44 inches are. All right. Well, 2 stars and, whatever the equivalent of 3 stars
C
is.
plus.
Yeah. B plus for Alex.
C plus.
Oh, C plus. Yeah. C plus for Alex. That's, I guess, if you listen to the whole episode and you haven't watched the movie, you should have a pretty good idea if you need to watch it, especially after I drop some clips during the editing. that will give you a pretty good idea of what you're in for if you decide to watch 44-inch chest. But that's it for these would-be, maybe, British gangsters. Alex, do you know where we're going next?
I don't, but I'm very curious.
Coming up next on the main feed is the movie Official Competition, which, speaking of Filmbusters, that's a patron demand from Ben Murray. All I know is that he really likes it. I think it has to do with a film festival. I know Antonio Banderas is in it. Why not? This is going to be our last main feed episode of the year. So it sounds like it should be fun. I'm always down for Antonio Banderas movies.
Absolutely.
One day we'll do The Mask of Zorro, but until then, official competition shall do. And also, I think it's, if it's not from Spain, at least it's a movie that's in Spanish. So get some subtitles action to close down the main feed for 2025. And then on the Patreon channel, we're going to try something different moving forward. We're kind of redoing the way that we tell you about the patron stuff, just because I mentioned last episode, we had like a bit of a backlog with some of the stuff, and some things we record so far in advance that it becomes harder to pinpoint when they're going to be edited and up on the Patreon page. So what we're going to do moving forward is we're going to tell you what's on the page as we are recording. Of course, we're recording this episode December 3rd, so we're just going to tell you what's on December 3rd, what's on the Patreon page, and also what will be, because every month we do have that bonus episode that definitely drops. So the bonus episode for this month is Gremlins 2, the commentary, which will drop on Christmas Eve. As of today, looking at what we have on the Patreon page, just looking at the app, there's the Open Range bonus Patreon episode. And then there's the After Hours, where we talked about Scott Pilgrim and Juror Number 2. That was from a while ago. And then, of course, the MTV Movie Awards commentary for the year 1999. That's some of the highlights that you can find if you go right now. Now, there may be other things also by the time that you get to the Patreon page, but that's like for sure what's in there. We figure we're going to do that from now on, so that when you hear about something on the episode, you know for a fact that you can go right away to the Patreon page. It's going to be there. So if you want to check out the Patreon page, that's patreon.com/contrarianprime. That's where you get to sign up, look at the different tiers. And now, Alex, let's get out of here.
Was it all a dream?
It was not, you worthless cow son.
Well played. Welcome to our end credits.
Or as we usually call them, our perennial plugs.
We start off by giving thanks to the Festive Years, who provide our opening and closing tracks. They kick us off with Last Stand and take us home with Summer of 99. Be sure to head over to thefestiveyears.com for any and all Festive Years needs.
Our friend and fellow podcaster Hans Rothgieser is the man behind our logo and all the art you see related to our show. Reach out to him and let him know how much you like that little tomato. His email address is mildemonios@hotmail.com and his website is mildemonios.pe. That's MILDEMONIOS. Hans, thank you for all your support.
For those interested in the regularly absurd world of professional wrestling, Joe and the boys over at latenightgrin.com have you covered. Tell them the Contrarians sent you.
And we like to close with special thanks to our social media team of Zoe Perez and Corey Ari. Each of the social media accounts we mentioned in the introduction look as good as they do because of their work.
So that'll do it for this episode of The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong, and we will catch you next time.
Just for old time's sake, I really don't care who you see and how much money you make to get her who he knows. Just promise me you'll wear that dress and you won't forget that summer of